tryout, just FYI. We can pump out now about 20 inches and be able to play about 3 hours after that. So that was just a mist last night. All it did, and before I get into the script here, all it did was we had to move our bullpen down. We didn't have everything quite covered completely yesterday, from transitioning from the Snoop concert to getting ready for rugby to kickball / soccer out here. So we just moved our bullpen down. Otherwise, our entire tryout is on just like if it was 90 degrees in normal weather out there. All right, so that's the good news. It is a little cold out there, no doubt, but down on that field, it's warmer than up top for sure. And I'll go over what your boys are going through and so forth here shortly. So the good news is everything's on plan and as scheduled as if it didn't rain at all yesterday. Welcome to our spring tryouts here. First, right off the bat, I'm Chris Godwin, the one with all the emails and communication and so forth. I hope y'all got all the info that you needed, and if you sent me something, I responded. That's one thing that we pride ourselves on. If you have questions and so forth, get it to me, and I get back to you as soon as I possibly can. But I appreciate you taking the Saturday, letting you guys come check out our organization, letting your boys go through and meeting. That right there is 97% of my entire staff is out there on that field right now. So, and I'm going to loop back around a little later to this. Once you guys go through this and you have your sons get back in the car with you and so forth, your boys are going to have a really good feel for our organization because they are literally meeting every coach I got out there. One of the things that this tryout, in fact I'll just skip to it, what your boys are going through today is that's a 9 and 11 combo out there. We've had about a dozen other kids that couldn't make it today that we've already tried out on the front end for whatever reason that may be. I'm going to get off track. One of the coolest reasons, we have an 11U dad that is a season ticket holder to the Cowboys. So check the box right off the bat for me on that one. As a season ticket holder, they got to go up there today. They get to sit in there, watch their warm-up practice today. They got all the cheerleaders and pom squads as after your thing. He gets to have dinner with them, with a coach, and a player this afternoon. And I said, I need you to come to the tryouts. I'm just kidding. But we have a whole handful of that have tried out on the front end already. There's about 30 kids out there, right? 29, I think, is the number that I just had before I walked in. So this is a really good turnout. But what your boys are going through, we've got 6 stations out there. We've got 2 stations set up in our cages, both off of live pitching that we're taking a look on, and then also tees, soft toss, and some other drills where we're looking at hand-eye, foot movement, comfortable in the box, and so forth. We have a bullpen set up that we're throwing at their distance, obviously, looking at just command, what they look like on the mound, is it comfortable, is it rushed, just letting them pitch on there. We've got a base running set up, just watching them take leadoffs and how natural it is for them, to be underneath their feet on leadoffs and jumps. Seeing if they pick up approaches around the bases and so forth. We don't have any clocks out there. No clocks. That doesn't mean anything to us at this age, especially. Just seeing naturally what it looks like for them to run bases. Then we have an infield group. Really not looking for. We're just looking at lateral movement, side to side, what their coverage is. That initial reaction, is it up, is it down, is it across? And then seeing the arm straight thrown across a 60-foot diamond, more or less, depending on the age. Then the last group out of that is an outfield drill that we're looking at. And it's not off of the fungo, it's off of the hand. What we're looking at there is watching the drop step. Is that what we do first, or is it a back pedal, which we obviously don't want to see as we're tracking down balls? Is it glove in the air first instead of getting to that spot? Little things off the hand, a real controlled environment. One of the things that we do here, and so I can look you guys in your eyes and tell you, and it really puts a comfort zone out there with your boys, is all the coaches that are out there are assigned to a station and not assigned to a group. And why I tell you that is because it's a big deal for me in the way that I set this up. Reason being is just watching some of them walk out here and hearing them as they come, like, wow, I've never been here when it was empty. Okay, that's one. I get it. It's a little different feel when there's no one in here. A little different feel when you get on that field is I don't want your son to go in the first group and have a bad hitting session
and have that stuck in between their ears and now float around for the next hour and 10 minutes, like, dang, I blew it on that first station. Well, no, those coaches don't travel with them. So when they move over to the next station, it's a brand new set of eyes. Those coaches are gone, they're somewhere else, and it lets your sons kind of free that up if it was a bad session, if that makes sense. So at the end, as your son goes all the way around, I will have 14 sets of eyes that are evaluating your son on whatever that is. And no one out there will have seen your son more than once. Okay, so it is a pretty wide view. That's all done for a purpose. Now, once we get to the end and I tell you the offers, well, Chris, what about this? I'm in here with you. I don't see anything. Okay, I'm in here with you guys. So I won't really know until I get notes and what's compiled out there of how your son did. Hey, what was this? What was this? And I'm at the mercy of the talent that I hired out there to do this. Okay? So that's what your sons are going through for the next hour and 15 minutes. Once we wrap them up, I'll go down out there, talk to them just for a little bit to give them what the expectations are and kind of my challenge to them when they get back with you guys. And that'll be the trial. Okay? So that's what your boys are going through here for the next hour and 15 minutes. Little bit about us. Express organization. A lot of people, now that we're another year into it, the frequency of, I didn't know y'all had a program that's kind of started to go down a little bit. This will be our third full year of having a vertical alignment of teams. And that's from that 9U group. This spring, our goal after today is to walk out with a 9U team, an 11U, 2 12s, a 13, and a 14. That will cover our spring. In the summers, we all play with our 16 and 18U kids. Those are our high school teams. Some that are already freshmen in college play on that 18U team. But that is the vertical alignment. We have had here at the Express for 5 years that high school program that we run on top. It's in the last 3 years that we have expanded vertically. So the group that is now going to be 12s, this will be their third, the group of 12s, this is their third season playing together. All right. What we decided to do, the Ryan family, a couple of years ago, we've always had that high school group. The mission here, as with the Express, is to grow and expand the game of baseball. What they wanted to do is they wanted to take that and filter that down to the youth level. Hence, why we started a select program. One of the items we had, so this is my second year doing this with the Express. I was coaching and on the front end of that before I moved into this role, was what we found out there, and as some of you nine-year-old parents that haven't quite been in the mix, but some of you 11 that have, what select baseball looks like, not just in Central Texas, but everywhere that you go. There's some good and there's a lot of bad. Some good and a lot of bad out there. What we were challenged to do and put into place was, well, let's do something different. Let's try something different. So what we did was we kind of put this together with the Ryan family, kind of made a list of this is what we can focus on that makes this program a little different than the others. And of course, we change, we do this, but we stick to kind of a core on this is what we're trying to accomplish, grow the game of baseball and be that different program. As you go through these tryouts and as you've gone through tryouts, I'm sure you've had people pitch that to you before, the difference. Okay? That's fair. That's fair. But now I'm going to tell you how we are different. Well, what does that mean, Chris? What does that mean that you're different and so forth? I think the first thing that you're going to find is because of our vertical alignment, what we would love to do in a perfect world, and that group that is now 12 in their third season is kind of following it through, is have them at this age. And here's number one that's different from anyone else, is, and there's some of you that I have to put an asterisk next to, is that you don't have to try out for us once you make your team, once you make the organization. Now, I've got a couple of families in here that played with us before that are trying out now. Well, Chris, that's not true, unless you're trying to play up an age. And not just an age, if you're trying to play up a field size, if that makes sense. So if you're a 9U parent in here and that 9U team makes and you're on that team, what that is then is that offer to be on the 10U as it rolls forward is always there. You don't have to come do this again. One of the things in the core that the Ryan family challenged us with was stability. One of the things that we hear in the select program is, my gosh, on December 8th, I got to go to this tryout. December 15th, I got this tryout. Okay, well, let's just say you try out once, you make it, then you're done. You're done. You can eliminate that. Some people find a ton of value in that. Some families like to know that that's off my table. I don't have to do this anymore. Okay? Some families don't care. But we decided as an organization, we're going to go with one time you're in from a family standpoint, and then from an organizational standpoint, we get to take your son as a 9, 10, 11, whenever they join the program, and vertically coach them up all the way through if that's their choice. The continuity there, guys, I can't stress to you the importance of continuity at this age and as these ages as they move forward. Okay? So that's one area where we're different. The second area, we are driven by, right now, this does not include this group out here. On our 17s that we have rolled through our year of 2018, we now have 76 schools that these boys come from. 76 different schools that we represent. Oh, that's cool, but what does that mean? It means we are absolutely not a feeder program to any school. We've got kids as far north of Belton. My whole group that comes up here, we're down by the original Salt Lake. That's a pretty wide base. We got kids out in Bastrop, Cedar Creek, and as far out as Lake Travis. We got a big circle here. Why I tell you that is, what we do with those coaches then, and we have a lot of them work our camps, is, okay guys, we're not feeding any programs, so there's no bias or anything like that, but we pull all of these coaches where these boys are going through and ask them, what do you look for? What do you look for when that 14-year-old kid is a freshman in February, because that's about to start in about 60 days for these high school boys. What are you looking for at that tryout? For you guys in here that your sons are feeding to, we'll just use the big one, Round Rock. They're going to walk out there in February and they're going to try out. In a normal year, they're looking at 12 spots, 15 spots, whatever that may be, and there's 90 kids out there. You've gone through this whole process and you got basically 4 hours to try to make that impression on that coach. Our job, where we're different, is we do it as we start at the young and working on up. It's tailor our program to prepare for that moment. Prepare for the tryout. I'm not promising you preparing to make your high school team, preparing you for college. I'm not even going anywhere near that, because that's a promise there's no way I could ever fulfill that. What I can promise is someone in that part all the way through, we're doing based on what coaches tell us that they're looking for, and we tailor that towards that to prepare for that moment. Now, we have some kids in here, or some families, I'm sorry, whose kids go to smaller schools. We've got someone that's in Thorndale. Everybody makes a team. Okay? Wonderful. We're putting you through the same stuff that a 6'8" kid is going to go try it over there. We don't treat you any different. We don't treat you any different. So that is the basis for our program. Now, okay, I'm sure you might have heard that before, but what does that mean practically that makes it different? What that means practically, and here's some of the people, this is where I lose some dads and moms. What that means is I don't care if we're AA, AAA, major. That means nothing to me. And let me tell you why. There's not one high school coach that goes, when they're signing in on tracks, what did you play? AA, get out. That's not a thing, y'all. I just want to let you know that. That does not exist. So we don't care. We don't care here at the Express what level they play on. It is and I'm telling you from a personal standpoint, I've been in each role. I've been at the college level, I've been at the high school as a varsity coach, and I've done this select, I've done this circle for going on about 20 years right now. Now all you're thinking, he doesn't look that old, and I like that thought. But I have. I've done this whole circle. It doesn't matter. That is a fool's gold thing to chase. Well, he needs to face better competition. Okay. What is your ultimate goal? It's high school baseball. I'm telling you from the words of the mouth of the high school coaches, they don't care. So we don't. Now, does that mean, well, Chris, did y'all stand back down at AA? I really don't care. We've had teams go to major. We've had teams stay in AA. We've had teams go up and down. We don't care. We're just going to play baseball and preparing them for that moment down the road. Okay? So that is something that is of high priority for you. And it's number one on your box. I can't make any promises where that team ends up. And we don't push for it one way or the other, if that makes sense. So I like to be up front. There's no surprises there. That is an organization that comes from the top. And why does it come from the top? Because that is what the high school coaches have said to us. And my experience says, I have no idea and don't care what level you play at. Doesn't mean anything to me. Okay? Second thing. Another common question. Well, we go all U trip. Nations. Blue Diamond. Guess what? That's another question that no high school coach asks. We don't care where and who we play. Now, our fall season that we just came off of, we stayed in San Marcos basically the whole time. That was what matched our schedule and what our needs were. For the spring, our tournaments are put a dot in downtown Austin, do a circle of about 45 miles, and that's where we play. We do not do the overnight travel thing here with the Express. Why do we do that? There's plenty of baseball in Central Texas for us not have to travel to Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio to go play, number one. Number two, we respect your time, your family, and all of that goes with that we can find our baseball here. Now, what does that mean? Before I get into those tournaments, we're going to play, the majority of our stuff will be up here in North Austin. We'll be back here at Old Settlers, Taylor, Northeast Metro, Pflugerville, up at Triple Play, Drip if we need to go down there. San Marcos maybe once, probably not. But that is the core of our tournaments. There are no overnight trips built into our original schedule. So that's another thing. If that's high on your list, I want to kind of do that travel experience. We don't do that here. And that's the explanation why, okay? We can find plenty of baseball in this area. Now, the other thing that makes us different is when we set teams, and this is a promise, we carry 11 kids. We carry 11 kids on every team outside of our high school teams. For those that have sons or have gone through the select program, why not the high school teams? Because it's a pitching thing. We add on extra players that are solely there to pitch. That's what they do. At the lower levels, we keep this to 11 players. Why do we do that? We do that so it's a playing time thing. We don't even get into that nonsense of this and this. No, we have 11 players. We have players, and as you guys that have been through this before, especially you 11 parents, we get into these tournaments. You have a little bit of success, you're playing your 5th game in a day, or in 2 days. There are kids out there when it's 100 degrees and they're on their 5th game. Coach, I need an inning off. I need 2 innings off. It gets reversed. Not that I'm not playing enough. I need to come out. So we keep our rosters at 11. And we do that. It's an experience thing. We don't really have any issues on playing time because we have a full rotation. It just rotates. Because we don't care about which organization it is, and because we're not worried about points or anything like that, we're not trying to go to one of the 35 World Series in Florida that you can qualify for. Notice I said that sarcastically. We don't care. We don't care. That's not what our mission is here for you and your sons and their experience, for us. I'm not saying that's wrong for any other organization, but that's what we do here. So very small rosters, 11, and that's a guarantee to you, and that's the playing time and so forth. The other thing that I have on here that makes us different, and boy, this even changed after last night, is stability. Regardless of what happens this Saturday, those lights are going to come on in April. We're going to roll out a AAA team out here. Everybody's going to get paid, and everything's going to happen regardless of what happens here. The select world has gone through a massive shift in the last about 8 weeks, including last night. Our second to last tournament that we played in last spring, there were 16 teams entered in that tournament up here. 9 of those teams do not exist as of this point. 9. Some of you in this room, because your team is dissolved and no longer exists, and I'm not even counting them towards that 9. Now, going back to the start about stability and continuity, my gosh, Chris, that is, in 1 year, now this is, if we had a plot out here, this would be the anomaly. Losing 9 organizations inside of 1 calendar year is a big number, and that's off of my head. Well, what's going on out there? Well, you have organizations that are not backed, obviously, by something like this. Okay, that's an extreme. But also, when you're out there and you're constantly, okay, well, you got to try out again. You are chasing something. You are putting something else of more importance of this. Your values are a little different than what we are. Eventually, the market catches up to you. And we're seeing that this year. So 9 out of the 16 teams in our second to last tournament do not exist as of this morning. We lost 3 more last night. Last night we got the email kind of in our select circle that they've been bought out. There's one group that's rolling through this town, and I'm not going to mention their name, that have now bought out 5 programs in the last about 7 weeks. And they're running all the way from San Antonio to Waco. They're turning into a massive organization. But where am I going with that? Stability. Stability. Go home if this is your home and this is where you want to play. Man, are the Express going to exist next year? Yeah, we're going to exist next year. We'll be here. We'll be here. Coaches, let's talk about that. What am I offering you with coaches? Boys, the first thing that you're going to be able to take, your takeaway is when you get your sons back in the car with you, is, hey, what'd you think? Because I just told you I got all but like 3 of my coaches out on that field. I've got young guys out there. I've got older guys out there. I've got a dad out there. That's me. I've got kids that play just high school ball. I've got kids that have college experience and I have pro experience. I cover the whole thing. One of the most common questions that I get here and on email from parents is, who's coach? That's an interesting question, and I use this example each time. If I told you that it was, and I always go with Connie Mack or Casey Stengel, one of the two, but let's go Connie Mack. I got Connie Mack here. I dug him out of the grave and he's coaching your son. Yeah. He's got 60 years of Major League Baseball experience. Yeah. But he hasn't been around a 12-year-old in 75 years. It's an interesting question when you go past of who's coaching that team. Because there's more than just the baseball part. When I posted a job opening for this, when I saw kind of the demand, okay, we need some more coaches. I got some pretty good input, and as I've talked to people and gone through those talks and interviews, man, everybody in Central Texas played college baseball. Everybody in this area played college baseball. Check those boxes. That's a given. That's a given. What I'm